Hello, everyone. My name is Vance Villanueva, and I've been working for 4D for a little over 2 years in the technical support department in the USA office, which is San Jose. And my presentation is about HID integration 4D. HID stands for Human Interface Device, which is a hardware device that is connected to the computer and is controlled by humans to do operations. Just a little background about myself. Prior to working for 4D, I used to work in the seaports of Oakland, California, Long Beach, California, Washington, California, where there's the ship-to-shore containers. And I've done a lot of hardware design and firmware integration to do tracking systems of the ports. So pretty much a lot of those ports had no technology of doing tracking. So I came in there and I was able to work with this hardware that was the microcontroller and get telemetry data like compass data, GPS locations and stuff where I was able to relay that information and give the exact location where those containers are supposed to be, which saved the terminals a lot of money. But for me now, I realized that I wanted to try something different and I wanted to try software. So here I am. And for this session, I'm trying to develop the material for this. I was really intrigued because I have this hardware interest, and this is actually something that I was thinking that might be a little bit complicated to discuss because it got to some lower level. But then again, I realized that I could kind of simplify this. In a sense. So here we go. So as we know, information can come in different mediums such as pictures, magazines, newspapers, videos, etc. It's capable of being entered into the computer. How this is transferred can be a manual process. For instance, if you have a newspaper or a magazine, you can either manually type in the text, or you can do an OCR read, or you can actually scan it to make a picture. How about something like music, where you have a CD and you want to rip it and have that kind of track go into your computer? You can do something like rip it to encode it as a file, a sound file, like an MP3 or a WAV file. And at some point, you have that information in your computer. So, I mean, what does that mean? What does that all have in common? Well, it's really about the data. I mean, as you 4D developers, you need this kind of information that you want to store in your database, and you also want to present that in some form to your customers. So what is HID? Well, it stands for Human Interface Device, and it's actually part of the USB protocol, which consists primarily of devices that are used by humans to control the operations of the computer. And the examples of HID devices would be like a keyboard, a mice, a joystick. But before I dive in a bit about HID, I just want to give you a little background about this. So back in the days, computers, of course, had the ability to connect external devices. And these kind of devices, as you can see in the middle, like say, for instance, you have a joystick, you would connect it to that yellow port right there, and that's a dedicated port. If you had a mouse or keyboard, you would connect to something like a PS2, or it was a DIN or a PS1. And if you had some sort of printer, you would connect to a parallel port, as you can see over there. But in 1994, companies like Compaq, Intel, Microsoft, NEC, HP, Lucent, they created the standard of USB, which is a universal serial bus. And those connections are pretty much speeds of like 1.5 megabits to 480 megabits. And it's pretty much broken down into 20 classes. and classes that range between a monitor, a modem, audio speakers, your USB drive, and the one that I want to discuss is the HID. So since you do connect these devices to your computer, the big question is the drivers. So like, what's so special about this? Because you have to kind of get this communication between the hardware of the computer to the actual device, and there has to be some sort of communication. So if I take, for instance, a computer, I mean a printer that for instance, you buy from the store, it comes with like some sort of CD, and you have some sort of driver. So say, for instance, we do connect it. This process is called enumeration. It's pretty much the exchange of information that accomplishes tasks to assign addresses and then read descriptors and finally load the driver to make the decision to load that driver. So it's going to do this enumeration, and once it tries to look for a driver, you'll find out that it's an unknown device. You may have seen this in a computer when you try to connect. Now the thing is with this is like once it's connected, it's useless because you don't have any ability to connect to this. You have no ability to even use it, so it's not able to connect. So let's take, for instance, a HID device like a keyboard. So if we go through the enumeration process and we go back and forth trying to look for something of a driver, and when we do look for something, we'll see something like this. It's an HID compliant. Now, since HID is part of the USB class, it gives the ability for devices to have things like data acquisition, test instruments, data loggers, and a device to control hardware and display devices. And as you know, keyboards, mice, and joystick are also part of the HID. This was designed not to waste any bandwidth for the computer. So pretty much the HID was pretty much efficient. So, I mean, why does this all matter? I mean, HID is actually a plug and play, and drivers are already incorporated in the machine, so you don't really have to look for those drivers. Like for a printer, it's already incorporated. So today I'm going to demonstrate two devices of HID that it is a plug and play. The first one I want to show you is this particular barcode scanner. This barcode scanner that is a linear, which will pretty much read something that's like a product that you would get in a supermarket or the store. And it's actually a UPC, which I'm going to demonstrate. And a magnetic card reader, something like this, that you would be able to read credit cards and also IDs. So for the barcode scanner, I don't really have a company name. This is pretty much generic. It was purchased in eBay. You can also purchase in Amazon. The key thing I was looking for was an HID compliant device. And for this demo, I'm going to test it with products that have the UPC barcode. So actually, how does it work? So for these kind of barcodes, it's pretty much like a font. When the light actually hits to the barcode, there's a reflection that comes back to the device, which pretty much gives an identification of the actual text that will be converted. If I go too deep into this of the hardware, it'll be very complicated. There's drivers, there's a lot of pieces to it, but just to give you an idea. So here's some samples of that barcode. So this particular instrument takes three types of codes, which is code 39, and this is code 39, which is no characters, and it has no calculation. So when I do a scan through this one, it pretty much will give the text 1, 2, 3, 4. Now for code 128, this one allows uppercase and lowercase, and also numbers. For this example, it's just all uppercase. So when it's being scanned, it'll read back ABC 1, 2, 3. And the final thing is the UPC, which is the example here. That is a 12-digit number, and you can see that it will read back 1, 2, 3 up to 128. So I'm going to give a demo on that particular app for this device. So the second device I have is the magnetic card reader, and there is no actual company name for this. It's also generic, and I also got this from eBay. And like I said, both of these things are just really inexpensive. I mean, I think I paid less than $20 just to get each device. So how does this actually work? So the card has this magnetic strip. And in that strip, it has 3 tracks, which is about a 1 1/10 inch thick. And the purpose of this device is just to read the information. There's actually an ISO specification for this to actually understand each track and how the information is supposed to be stored in each one. I'm not going to go over that. I'm just going to give you an idea that, for instance, this one has the numbers and the expiration. And this particular card reader will get the card number and the expiration. And there's some other things that are not important, but it's part of the scheme. So I'm just going to show you a sample demonstration. So here's the barcode scanner. So this actual application just has a form and 2 tabs. So there's a form and 2 tabs. So I'm going to do the barcode scanner first. And pretty much the information here is just the UPC, the description, and then there's an image. And I'll try another one, some Snickers. You guys are probably hungry or you already ate, so. And it would show also this as well. Now I'll go and show you the magnetic card reader. Don't try to write these numbers. These are my expired cards, so it's just I found them. Even some of them I had in the mail, and then I just didn't use them. But so here's a Visa. I'm gonna run through. So it'll actually get the card number, as you can see. It has the number and the expiration after the equal, and then all that other information. And then I'll try a MasterCard. And then I'll try a American Express. I'm just trying to use these cards just to give you an idea. I know on Thursday we're probably going to go on a ship to do some gambling, so I'm going to try to get some stuff. But just to give you an idea, this is the demo of this. So the big question, you saw the demo. So like, what is the trick about all of this? Well, the HID device presents a keyboard kind of setup. So for instance, let's say your laptop, you have a broken key in your laptop key, and you can't press that anymore. So you decide to just connect a USB keyboard in there. Most likely, if you connect that USB keyboard and you start typing, you'll notice that you didn't even have to install any drivers, and it was just working. That same thing is actually, the principle of it is the same thing, which it mimics the keyboard. These devices, these HID devices can mimic that same thing. So if I do a scan, it's actually going to type in the keyboard that actual entry. So how does that actually work? I could show you. On a standard text editor, if I wanted to scan this particular thing, it pretty much, oh yeah, here we go. It just actually scans that number, which is the same as the barcode. And if I ran this through the card reader the same way, and you can see that blinking cursor, it's just as if it was a keyboard. If you're typing it in, it's just gonna write it in the same way. So if I do the card, it would also do something the same. So pretty much, it acts like a keyboard on the blinking cursor. So in terms of 4D, I would like to just show you the same demonstration, but I'll show you the exact code. So pretty much, as you can see here, this is the same form that you saw. But the only thing I wasn't able to show you is that in page 0, there's actual a variable input, which is that blinking cursor input text. So the magic is actually in here. So in here, I pretty much check on the on data change event. And once I select one of the tabs, for instance, the barcode scanner, I'm able to see if it's actually in the database. And if it's not, then I create the record. Now, for the display of this demo, I used a third-party API called Digitize that actually can give you more information through a JSON of a particular UPC product. I mean, many of you guys, have you guys used Amazon to check UPC information like a book or some sort of thing? Well, Amazon actually purchases the data from them. These guys will give you 500 tries for free, and then if you want to subscribe or get a license from them, it's pretty good. They specialize a lot on a lot of the supermarkets and the store chains like Target and Walmart. And one big one is cosmetics, if you're interested in that type of business where you can do some inventory. So back to here. So on the code, what I do is I'm only grabbing the UPC, the JSON data, and the description. So from this method, it's actually getting the actual key and the actual through the website, and it will return a JSON. So let me give you an example of what that data looks like. almost there. Didn't go through there. Right. Okay. I could show you that information later. Somehow my internet kind of died. I'm actually showing you this M&M that actually I have to go through the API and get it back. For some reason, it just got stuck. So, but just to give you that idea that there is a JSON, there is a lot more information in there that you can grab. And this was just the actual, I got the description. I actually got the picture from there, and I was able to get that information. Now for the so for the second part, which is for the magnetic card reader, I also check the database to see if it's available, and if it's not, I'll create a record. And then this method, it's pretty simple. The data that came out, I'm just actually looking for if it's a if it starts with a 4, it's a Visa. If it's a 5, it would be a MasterCard. If it's a 3-4, it would be an American Express. And if it's a 6-2, I find out it's a Discover. But pretty much it's just parsing the data, just to give you an idea that there's documentation to identify these things. Like if, for instance, you go on the website and they ask you to enter your credit card number, they could identify that it's a MasterCard or a Visa. And it's just pretty much the same scheme. So that's pretty much for that, the demo database. So with this idea of HID, you have pretty much a value add to your existing database that you can add on these kind of HID devices. So here's some ideas that you could probably use to enter in your database. So you could make that device be a lookup table. So if you have a bunch of inventory, you can actually use the device to just go do a quick lookup, and that might be seamless. Another way is that if you have a bunch of information that you want to store in there, you could just use these devices to just do the automated process of that. Data verification, for instance, if you made some IDs and you wanted to give access to certain people, and you assign certain numbers, you can run a card scanner or some sort of device just to verify that information can be passed through if you use these devices. For the web area search, you can do like a scanner, the barcode scanner on there, and then just copy that text to like the Amazon website, and you could go directly to that. If, for instance, if you wanted to do a quick search instead of using the API that I demoed, but you can do some. That's another option of just using the web area, and all it would be, and all you would try to make as much of your system automated for these kind of HID devices. That's just an idea. So in conclusion, the HID device is pretty much a plug and play. There's no drivers required for this. in these particular examples, the HID device outputs like a keyboard entry, which is the text. And in 4D, the text input, like a list box or a variable object, would be the focus of the text if you run the HID device into those particular areas. Thank you.